Because when you first started wrestling, when you had your first match, it wasn't for your dad's promotion. Your dad, Great Lakes Championship Wrestling. Was that a conscious choice on your part, or was that your dad saying, "Okay, I don't want people thinking that I'm giving you special privilege," and you know what I mean? You know what I'm trying to
I
say?
almost want to answer this for him,
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I
but
mean,
go.
um, it was really I started my wrestling journey, and I wanted to start wrestling. And my dad used to run. Well, he now runs again Blizzard Brawl for GLCW.
Oh yes.
Yep.
And at that time, Tommy Dreamer was the owner of Blizzard Brawl. He had owned, the rights to everything. And when he found out that I was starting this journey, he told my dad the deal was for him to have Blizzard Brawl. My first match has to be for him. And there was no better way to do it. I mean, because it's the promotion that I grew up, my entire life, to now Tommy Dreamer owning it. It was kind of it was a way for dad to have me do my first match in a safe environment, but surrounded by people he trusts.
Hmm.
Makes a
Gotcha.
lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense because that's one thing you need a lot of in this industry is trust in the people you work with and for.
Yeah.
Gal
Yeah, it's
also
one of the.
know.
Go ahead,
Go
Brian.
ahead.
I'm
No,
sorry.
no, no. Go, RJ.
With your dad, with you there every step of the way, it's one of those things. If you follow either yourself or your dad on social media, you always see these. I don't even know how to describe these workouts he's doing with Al Snow. I'm like, you see an Al, it's like, what was he saying the other day? It was like, fit over 60 or something. It's like, holy crap. I'm like, I'm 40 and I'm like, holy crap. Uh, but just that stuff, growing up in this business, man, just those trials and tribulations that you've may have already had at a young age. How have you mentally prepared yourself for this journey, this beginning of this journey? Because from as a fan aspect of it, though, the sky's the limit for you, man.
Thank you. Um, I guess it is just being surrounded by the right people. And my dad has done a tremendous job on keeping relationships for the 25 plus years he's been doing it, but not just keeping them, having great relationships with people. And because my dad's always done good business, now it's people kind of pay it back. And they don't have to, but they do. And they look out for me and they give me advice. And I think growing up with everybody, um, it kind of just like it feels natural, it feels comfortable for me in wrestling. So I kind of just go with the flow, whatever curveballs, thrown my way.
Yeah, and those of you who don't know, I mean, we've said your dad is David Hero, big promoter, businessman outside of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, as we alluded to earlier. Runs Great Lakes Championship Wrestling. But for all these years, going up before he promoted, he did a lot of signings and things like that. When was it that you, as you were growing up and being hanging out with people like Kevin Nash and Uncle Al Snow and many others. I'm just naming a few names. When was it then that you decided, you know what, this is what I want to do? I want to wrestle as well. Like what being around it obviously can give you the itch, but when was it that clicked and said that was it? This is what I want to do. This is the time to wrestle.
I was always a fan of wrestling. I always wanted to do it, just because I was surrounded by it. But then, you get into middle school, high school, and it's not as cool. So I kind of like had that where I went to go play football and I did track and field. And then it came time to where I needed to decide what college I wanted to go to and my career path. And I was clueless. I was like, I have nothing appealed to me. And I was like, the one thing I'm comfortable with is wrestling. And a cool story is Al, his wife, her son is my best friend.
Mhm.
And we were just hanging out and we're like, man, this all came fast. Like, what if we tried wrestling? And it was that like, no, there's no way. Well, we could. I mean, look at, the opportunities we have right now to start. And it was my junior year of high school. And I started training in August of 2018. And next thing you know, I had my first match. And from the moment I got in the ring, it was this is it. this is home.
So
Wow.
I have a question for you. Well, actually, it's not a question for you. You said that through middle school, high school, you were clueless, right?
Mhm.
If you're hanging around Al and you're hanging around your daddy, you know that as long as you're in that business, you're still going to be clueless. You know that, right?
Yes.
Okay. Just want to make sure you understood that and got grips with that.
Mm.
But no, on a serious note, I do want to ask you this. Um, I'm kind of like you. I have a dad that's in the business, obviously. Do you ever feel guilty, like, and say, and when I say that, because there was a period of time I went through where I felt like, but it was in my own mind, where I didn't deserve things because my dad was who he was, and I felt like I was looked at differently. Have you gone through that kind of thing? Because Dave's a big name in the business. I mean, your daddy's known. You know what I mean? I knew who he was when he thought I didn't know who he was. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
when I first met him, which was 100 years ago. But what I'm saying is, there's got to be at some point, I would think, you would have felt like, okay, I'm given this spot, but is it just because my dad? And has people come to you and said, it's just because your dad, you have the spot, you little shit. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. From the moment I started, Dad kind of gave me that heads up, but I had never experienced that, so I didn't understand it at first. And then there are some days where it's like, is am I doing the right thing? And is it just because my dad? But then, on the same side of that, and like you are the example, like you have to work harder now.
Yep.
So much pressure on you because if you mess up or it just doesn't work out, it's well, the things he did do is because of his dad, and I never want that to be the case.
So let me just tell you something real quick, and then we can move on. But this is something I want you to just embed in your head forever, man, because it's the truth. I was always known for a while as Earl's son, Earl's son, Earl's son, not Brian Hebner,
Mhm.
right? And it took me a long time to learn and to accept the fact that I was at that point Earl's son, Earl's son. And you said it. We had to work harder. I had to work harder. And I did. I wanted to be better than everyone else, including the guy that's with me right now on my show, Jimmy Corderas. I wanted to be better than him. And I'm not saying I ever was, but I got at least to his level. And what I'm saying is, you don't do that without putting in the work. And it became where I did get mentioned as Brian Hebner, Earl's son. So it worked the other way around. It wasn't just Earl Hebner's son, because it was that way. And I heard it over and over again. And it really pissed me off because I was like, I want to be known as Brian Hebner. I want to be known as Brian Hebner, not Earl's son. And then it did, man. It did. And it was because of what you said, hard work. And then eventually I was looked at as, that's Brian Hebner, Earl's son. So I want you to know, man, there's going to be moments you're going to have no matter what. I mean, how old are you now? 22?
22.
Okay.
Wow.
And I did not know that, I guessed. Because it's not on the dirt sheet.
No, the socks I'm wearing are actually older than
that. But no, it's what I'm trying to do is give you a pump up. You're at some point at your rate, the way you're going. I've watched you grow too with several matches I've seen prior to the last one I saw, which hopefully that is the last one I saw. I'm just kidding. Yeah. But no, I just want you to have that confidence and know that you're going to have to do that, man. You're going to have to work harder than everybody else to lose that stigma and then go, oh, that's Kal Herro. That's Dave's son. You know what I mean? So where it's not the opposite. You know what I mean? You understand what I'm saying, right?
Absolutely. Thank you.
No, I mean it, man. It's hard. It's not easy. And everybody thinks it is. It's not hard.
Use it as motivation.
Yes.
To carve your own identity.